If you're in a long distance relationship, or perhaps the person that you're with is going away for a few weeks or a few months, this video is for you. Today, I'm sharing all the best tips I know to be true on how to survive a long distance relationship because, it's hard out here on these streets. And my most favorite, most helpful tip I'm going to be sharing at the end, so make sure you stay until then. Now, you may be sat here thinking, Tori, how are you qualified to give us advice on long distance relationships? Well, my boyfriend literally lives 4,000 miles away. Yeah, I know how hard it is. I also know really cool ways to make that long distance that much easier. And me and my boyfriend do all of these tips. So I'm literally practicing what I'm preaching here. Buckle up. The first tip, vary your forms of communication that you guys use. It is really, really key to switch up how you guys communicate. Don't just be using phone calls or texts because that can get really stale and really boring quickly. Yes, absolutely text throughout the day. Being able to text throughout the day is amazing. And I absolutely think that everyone should be doing that, especially if you live really far away and you span different time zones. Also, make sure you send pictures and videos, even of the most ordinary things like what you're eating for lunch or a nice view that you see, because it will really help you guys feel connected throughout the normal everyday stuff. You can even use apps like Snapchat and Instagram and send selfies of yourself with stupid filters. Or maybe you have come across a meme or a reel that made you think of them and it's really cute. And it's those little things that will increase the connection that you two have throughout the day, and it won't become stale and boring because you're just using one mode of communication. Also, I don't think I even really need to say this, but using things like FaceTime and you actually can see the person face to face and talk to them has been a game changer for every long distance relationship. It's the next best thing to having them in the room with you. There's actually so much that you guys can do to vary the form of communication that you guys have throughout the day and into the night. Tip number 2, have a shared calendar. This might seem like the most mundane idea and you're like, Tori, we came all this way for you to tell us that we should share our calendars. But I promise you, because I've actually seen this happen, it will make you feel like you're a part of their day and their week. It just adds to healthy communication. Because let's just say that your partner who usually calls you after work is either having to work late or he has an appointment straight after and he's not able to come on your normal call every day. Just the fact that you know that and are aware of that, and you're not just waiting by the phone or thinking, oh, he's forgotten me or something else is happening. It just helps to keep things really transparent and keeps the line of communication open so that you're aware what's going on throughout the day and throughout the night. I promise you, it can really help you avoid some really small misunderstandings that can turn into big arguments. The third tip, good morning and good night texts. This for me seems like a no-brainer, and if you are not doing these things, if you're in an LDR, then what are you doing? Everyone loves a good morning text. Everyone, doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, everyone. But also don't forget to text them or even call them good night. Just having someone call you and say, hey, I just want to say good night, I love you. It just warms your heart just before you go to bed. It really is the little things that count, especially when you're in a long distance relationship. I actually think that everybody, no matter if you're in a long distance relationship or you see them almost every day, just having a good morning and a good night correspondence is a staple for everyone. Tip number 4, avoid sticky situations. Honestly, when you're a few hundred or 1,000 miles away, misunderstandings can so easily happen. Let's say, for example, your boys have asked you to go clubbing and drinking with them. Sometimes it's just better to avoid situations like that, if I'm going to be honest. Or make sure that you talk to your partner before you go. Reassure them, be honest with them, be transparent, and have a conversation with them. Ask them what they think. Please hear me on this. It's not about you asking your partner for permission to go out. It's really not. It's about including them in the decision in the first place, being honest, being upfront. And actually, you're doing this out of the love and respect that you have for them. Because a lot of us have different triggers and traumas that have happened. And it might just be that you need to be honest and transparent with them about what's going on and what your plans are. Or maybe it's just best that you avoid the event altogether if it's going to cause your relationship stress. Honesty and transparency will go a long way to avoid misunderstandings and triggers. If you love learning about relationship science or how to date healthier, or maybe even surviving and thriving in your own singleness, then join our tribe here. We would love to have you. And if you know anyone in a long distance relationship and you know they would get a lot from this video, then why don't you pay it forward and share the link with them? Tip number 5, have a shared playlist. Gone are the days of mixtapes. I know it was a simpler time. I miss the 90s and the early 2000s so much. But now, thanks to services like Apple Music and Spotify, you can have a shared playlist between the two of you that you both can collab on. It's a really small thing you can do, but it will pay big dividends in your relationship, especially if you're going through times where you really miss them and maybe you can't get hold of them because they're at work, and you can just put on the playlist and feel closer to them because you know that the person that you love curated a special list of songs that made them think of you. It really does help. It's also a really good way to discover new songs or new genres of songs because you both are collabing. You both are including maybe songs that you also love and maybe you hadn't ever heard of them. Number 6, start a mini book club. Tori, what are you talking about? I cannot tell you what a game changer this tip really is if you pay attention. Reading a book together, oh my gosh, especially a non-fiction book that can spark conversation. Oh my gosh, this is what you are missing in your long distance relationship. I have found this incredibly useful in sparking really deep and very much needed conversations between me and my boyfriend. Like topics we would never even really think to bring up or to talk about are naturally brought up by what we're reading. And even subjects that are not very easy to talk about, if you're doing it in the context of looking at a book, it does make it easier. Nick and I actually love to go through relationship books together. We've learned a lot about each other and actually about ourselves. And one of our absolute favorites that we're still going through now is The Meaning of Marriage by Tim Keller. I think everyone in a relationship, or even if you're single, I think everyone should read this book. So how we do it is we each read a chapter at a time on our own, and then we write down notes and thoughts and feelings in our iPhone app, and then we send each other these notes and any thoughts that we have around it. We'll then have maybe a full day's worth of texting conversations where we talk about that one chapter and the notes that we sent before. Now, if it's a particularly juicy subject or chapter, it could take more than one day. It could take like 2 or 3 or 4 days. It has really brought us so much closer together by exploring really important topics and conversations that we probably would have never thought to bring up or felt comfortable enough to bring up. I cannot tell you what a hidden gem this is. And actually, Nick and I started doing this before we became official, and it really helped to cement that we both wanted to get into a serious relationship with each other despite the fact that he lives 4,000 miles away. I personally recommend this book. I will put it down below if you guys want to check it out. It really is an incredible read for people that are just interested in love and relationships as a whole. It doesn't matter if you're single or in a relationship already or even married. Everybody should read this book. And so we come to my most favorite, most important, most helpful tip for helping long distance relationships survive and actually thrive. I am a massive advocate for couples doing things together, no matter if they are across an ocean or across the world or they live just an hour away. I am also so passionate about getting couples playing games together. Now, I know what you're thinking. Your girl doesn't even need to be a gamer. There are tons of low skill level games that will be right up your street that you both can do as a couple. There's mobile games, yes, and they have a place, but honestly, getting her or him on a PC or on a console is a game changer because the variety of games that you have is a lot more. I just think they can be a lot more interactive too. There's so much choice. So the Nintendo Switch is a really good entry level console if the person that you're with has never done any PC gaming, never owns a PS5 or an Xbox or whatever. A Nintendo Switch is a perfect first start to console gaming, and it's great if you or her don't have any experience. With a Switch, you can play in the comfort of your own home. You can plug it into a TV, or it's actually a handheld gaming console as well with a screen, which is great if you just want to play it in bed. And of course, this is also good if you guys live in 2 very different time zones, because it could be really late for her and really early for you, and she could just be chilling in bed gaming with you. So here are some games that I recommend for long distance relationships. The first one is It Takes Two, which is one of the most enjoyable co-op games I've ever done. I'm pretty sure I even have completed it now 3 times. I have loved it so much. It is available, from what I know, on Switch and also on Steam too. Another great cult classic game is Stardew Valley, especially if your girl is interested in like really cutesy games. But let me say this, Stardew Valley does not joke around. There is a really big reason why this is such a well-loved classic game. I also recommend one of my personal favorites is Don't Starve Together. It is a fantastic and really interesting survival game. You guys can play it for maybe just a weekend, or it can go on for months. Now for me, I personally love League of Legends. That's my jam, that's my vibe. That's actually how Nick and I spend a lot of our weekends, is playing League. I love League, but sometimes you do need a break. I would say though that League of Legends has a much higher learning curve. So if you or your partner or just have no experience in games, League is probably not a game you want to jump straight into. Another wonderful game that can be really easy or really hard depending on the settings that you choose is Minecraft. Like, people turn up their nose at Minecraft, but actually it's a really great game. And there are so many extra mods you can use now to make the game even like wider and longer and more interesting. Another great game that you can just hop on and play for maybe even an hour or two is Mario Kart. But it is a really cool game that you can play on a Switch. Again, you can play it on a TV or just using the console screen. It's just a game where you don't have to commit much to it. You can just play for an hour and you're done. It's also a really cool game that you can play with your friends too if they don't live near you as well. If you are interested in watching another relationship or dating video, then make sure you click on the next one that will appear on your screen.